And we are live on another edition of All In on NJIC Football. Kurt Valenti, Jennifer Valenti, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, another week, another full week of school in the books. Back to reality, and we have a lot of football to talk to. Comments are coming right in. Mr. Kirkpatrick, we got standings later to go over our picks, but he's from Maryland. He's saying, good evening, Jen and Kurt. Looking forward to an amazing show as always. Thank you, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
Thank you.
Jen, last week, game of the week. We're going to get into that. Recap, St. Mary's, Woodridge. We had some upsets last week. We had some tons of stuff going on. Before we get into that, I know you like to do the intro, so the floor is yours.
Well, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, of course. We have Red's Restaurant and Beer Garden. We have the Roosevelt. We have Lion Coffee. We have Puppies and Tattoos. We have Villa Italia. Did I miss anybody? No, right? But I want to thank Puppies and Tattoo sponsors our Top Dog segment. They send a $10 coupon to the recipient. And then we have Lion Coffee, who is sending out. Did you get the latest order to Patrick now that I'm thinking of it?
I'm not sure. Let me double check that.
We have one still coming. So, and then our coach who generously send our coaching guests a free coffee.
Yes. And then our pick segment is Villa Italia.
And our pick segment is sponsored by Villa Italia in Lyndhurst. So thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate their support and what they do for the community as well, supporting us, but supporting, NJIC football as well. And we just want to mention that tonight is Tuesdays. We do our NJIC football show. On Wednesdays is our second podcast where we feature a game of the week, right? So last week it was excuse me, Hedrikites at
St. Mary's Woodridge.
St. Mary's at Woodridge. I'm sorry, the week before was the Hedrikites St. Mary's, and this week it is going to be Garfield at Lyndhurst.
Yeah, Garfield at Lyndhurst. I am fired up for that game. Listen, my hometown's playing. Garfield, Mr. Kirkpatrick's hometown playing. We got a lot of Garfield people, obviously, that watches the podcast. And we have a lot of friends in Lyndhurst. So I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow night. We'll have both coaches. Both teams will have a couple players on. We'll do the breakdown. But let's get back to last week, Jen, real quick. Last Friday night, St. Mary's Woodridge, game of the week at Woodridge. We had a couple of the players on. We had Coach, obviously, on from Woodridge, along with not only two players, but two people from the student section. The place was electric. Listen, I'll say this. St. Mary's started off that game. Boom, St. Mary's fashion. They went Gale sweep. Had Jonathan Hortez in the backfield. Whoa, St. Mary's is back. Listen, unfortunate. Hortez gets hurt. Didn't play the rest of the game. Woodridge, with the talent they had, led by Chris Rios. We're going to hear him hint a little bit later on. Maybe we might even see him hint later on. But the talent of that team, they come back. It's a close game the whole way. Woodridge scores 2 touchdowns late, puts that game away. Woodridge now.
St. Mary's had an opportunity.
Oh, St. Mary's was down. What were they down? They were down, I think, 2 or they were down less than a touchdown with about 5-6 minutes left with the ball. Hey, give Woodridge credit. We'd like to see what would happen if Hortez was healthy. But listen, that's football. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Credit to Woodridge.
Credit to the St. Mary's quarterback who stepped in.
Oh, yeah. Well. They had to do again with Hortez, they had to move Messina out.
Yeah.
Evan Cologne goes to quarterback. And again, listen, I haven't really seen him play quarterback. And I'll tell you, he's a very talented kid. That moved Messina out to receiver to give them a little more of a weapon. So going forward, what St. Mary's going to look like now if Hortez comes back, again, they're always a dangerous team. Good friend Ernie Mays. Hello, Kurt and Jen. Go Broncos. Country only. Big Bronco fan. Colorado giving us a hello.
Hello. So far, we've had check-ins from Maryland and Colorado.
So again, we had it as game of the week. It was a great game last week. Did not disappoint. But there were other games, Jen.
Yes, of course.
Let's do a little.
Well, you know what? While we're talking, let me get the scoreboard up and running.
Okay.
So we have the scores alongside of us here with all of the week 2 results. Go ahead.
All right. So this is what I just call it my around the NJIC. A couple quick hitters, and we'll go from there. So, Jen, give me your most dominant team last week.
You know what? Looking at the results, right? I mean, I feel like you can go one of two ways with this, right? There were a couple of teams that had shutouts, right? Garfield shuts out Powell Park, Beckton shuts out Elmwood Park, Lyndhurst shuts out Lodi, Bogota shuts out Wallington. So you could say those were dominant performances, right? But I kind of feel like Waldwick over Manchester
I like it. I like
a
it.
dominant performance.
I like it.
Yeah.
There's our good friend Carson Shear from Carson Claus.
Oh, hi,
Carson, he does a
Carson.
bunch of everything.
Now a check-in from Michigan.
And checking from Michigan. I can tell you, talk about dominant. This isn't high school. We're going to talk about NFL. His Detroit Lions put up, I think it was 52 last week. So very dominant. Carson will be doing our stream tomorrow night with our regular sports show. I'm going to go Hasbrook Heights, Jen. Okay. And I could have went a couple different ways, but I'm going to go Heights. They played a tough New Milford team. And when I say why they look dominant, Jen, they had two backs over 100, almost ran for 300 yards rushing. And that's their game. And again, it's very hard to do it against a team like New Milford. So I'm going to go Heights. Their defense, again, 7 points. Coach Patola leading that defense over there. I'm telling you, Heights is a very good team. And so I'm going to say Heights. Checking in, there's our good friend Joe Merge. Park Ridge surprised me, dominating Weehawken. And again, let me get back to Joe. Good news, bad news. The good news, he's the man. He does everything. Unbelievable. Live streams of the Lyndhurst games, broadcasts it. Not just, gives you play-by-play, updates throughout. But bad news. Well, bad news for us, great news for him. He will not be streaming that game Friday night. You know why?
Why?
He's taking a deserved vacation.
Oh, good for him.
So I believe he's going to Florida. I believe he's going to be in Florida.
We will miss you. And yeah, like you said, bad for us because we always watch it.
Right, we always watch it. So we will get it. We will be there. So we'll get that game. But thank you, Joe, for everything you always do. He always has great things to say about our podcast, too, about the show. But I'm telling you, if you guys ever want, not just watch a Lyndhurst game, I'm telling you, he's very knowledgeable. He does a great play-by-play, entertaining. He'll read your comments. So, and you know what? He tells it as it is. If he doesn't like something Coach Twirl's doing, he'll tell you I don't like what Coach Twirl's doing. I don't know if Coach Twirl likes that. I like that, though, because that's good. I'm going to get to Kenny's comment, and we'll add that to one of our, our Around the League. Give me your surprise, Jen, in a good way.
Well, you know what? I kind of went back and forth between my, flip-flopping my who I felt was dominant and who was a good surprise, because I said Waldwick. I could have felt like they could have been a surprise for me too, because I think that they the way they kind of handled Manchester. But listen, I picked St. Mary's to win. I'm going to go with Woodridge as my surprise. I think that they not surprising that because we said that was going to be a close game, right? I ultimately picked St. Mary's, so I'm going to say a surprise. I really not that like a pleasantly surprised. They rose to the occasion. Like we even asked Coach when he was on last week, like, I just think that senior leadership in that quarterback position, the experience that you bring, shone through. And, so I'm going to pick them as my surprise. I was going back and forth, dominant. And
I'm going to answer it. My surprise is just like you. I'm going to say Waldwick, right? I mean, it was a great surprise when I saw it. I was like, whoa, like, is Waldwick back, right? Because was I high on Waldwick last year? I mean, I was very high on Waldwick. And it was like kind of like, okay, had a couple tough starts and boom, they bounced right back. So I'm going to go Waldwick. Who was your surprise not in a good way?
You know what? This is always hard. You don't know what's going on in teams. I said there were, 4 teams that did fail to score, but you don't really know like but I was expecting Pompton to give a little closer game. So I'm going to go with Pompton.
Okay. I'm going to go with Weehawken. I'm going to go Weehawken there because, we had Delahoy's last week. He won Puppy and Tattoo's Bo's top dog of the week. And we were saying how they're in a lot of games. And listen, they got to take it to them a little bit. So I'm going to say Weehawken. Real quick, Joe was saying, so sorry, I'll be away this week. I'll miss being there. Kenny saying his good was Park Ridge. Putting up those numbers against a good Weehawken team for me was his surprise. Give me a stat line player or a stat line that was like, whoa, to you.
Well, we will see some of the stat leaders, right? So, I feel like we've been waiting for Patrick Randolph to have his like breakout game, and he did. I can't see the stats in front. I think it was 191.
10 for 191,
Yeah,
4 touchdowns. You know how I know
yeah.
that? Because he's my stat line player of the week too. That's how I know that. So I'm gonna give you that one. Yeah, I mean that's just again there was a couple last week that stood out.
Yeah.
But that was one of them where listen, like you see that, and we all know about the talent of that kid and how good he is, and he had one of the games that was like, whoa, this is what makes him one of the better players in the league. Jen, give me obviously our game of the week this week is Garfield at Lyndhurst. Give me a game besides that you're looking forward to.
I'm gonna go to St. Mary's.
That's a good one
because
that's a good one.
St. Mary's, their 0-3 record is not indicative of the type of team that they are. And Bogota off to a 3-0 start, I think, is just like building confidence game after game. So I'm kind of excited to see, how St. Mary's responds. Like now, not only the adversity of, the 3 losses, but potential injury. We don't know if Huertas is going to be back in the lineup. So how they adjust to that. And again, you have Bogota coming in like full of confidence. So I'm excited to see. That would be my pick.
Okay. I'm going to go to a team we had. You had most dominant. I had best surprise. And that's Waldwick. And they're going to be home. And guess who's coming in? The team that last year on opening night, I watched it in our sports room. And I saw, here come the defending champs, Rutherford.
Mm-hmm.
And Waldwick put a beating on.
Well, I think that's what made you the Waldwick fan
it
last
was.
year.
And, just because of not only that I liked, a lot of their players and stuff like that, but just the the respect I have for that Rutherford program.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when's the last time that happened to Rutherford? And that thing is circled. That thing has been circled since last year. And they're going back to that same place.
Yeah.
So that Rutherford Waldwick game, a lot of implications with league divisions and stuff like that, but not just even that. I'll just from what happened last year.
Yep.
All right, last one, Jen. Team with the most pressure this week in the NJIC.
I have 2. I think that Butler is finding its way to be the team that's the defending champ, and I feel like they've become like a little bit of a second half team almost, because that first half they're kind of working their way through, finding their way with the new, but I'm going to say St. Mary's. So I have Butler. I think that they have pressure just because they're defending champs, NJIC champs. And I think that that's a process that, they're young student athletes. They have to find their way through. But I'm going to go with St. Mary's because, again, I feel like they've had some adversity, and I really think they're ready to like push past that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Joe is saying, I think Rutherford will have revenge on the mind. Look out, Waldwick, he's saying. Kenny's saying most pressure, St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt's saying most pressure, St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, again, they have a lot right now. Hey, you know what? Like, here's the thing, right? And I think this is where what like a team like St. Mary's has to do. And I think sometimes, like a lot of times you look and it's like, okay, it's a 2-team race, right? Like we said, St. Mary's and Woodridge. But you got a team like Bogota saying, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
So now St. Mary's still has a lot to play for, right? Like what is St. Mary's wants chaos now, right? Like, listen, is it possible? Hey, Coach Johnson saying, we take care of Bogota. Now you got to root for Bogota to get Woodridge, get that 3-way. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so
right.
There's still a chance. There's still a lot to play for, playoff
Anything
positions for
can
them.
happen. Yeah.
There's a lot. Hey, they got, again, Cortez, they got a couple of kids being, I think, eligible this week, coming off of an injury. So listen, they're going to be a different team this week. Bogota has been one of the most fascinating teams. Jen, I got one question real quick. Kenny asked a great one. I'm going to ask you this one. Who is your biggest surprise, Jen, who is still undefeated? Bogota, Secaucus, Glen Rock?
That's a tough question. I don't know if I'm surprised that any of them are still undefeated. I don't think surprise is the right word. I mean, I'd have to go back and double check, like, again, the opponents there. You know what? Here, I have this as one of my comments for later when we're doing our picks about Glen Rock. I'm not surprised they're undefeated, but you know what? they lost a ton. And
They
I know we're
did.
going to talk
They
about this
did.
tonight. So I think it's so impressive that they have been like, listen, we're just reloading.
Exactly.
So it's not surprise, but I think like maybe coming in, people might have thought it would have been difficult for them to duplicate considering what they lost to graduation, but that has not been the case at all.
I'll tell you this. I'm going to, again, not that it's a surprise because I know how good that program has always been. They've been down a little bit, and I'm going to say Secaucus. We had Coach Voorhees and Coach Curry last week on there. But I'm just going to say this. They take care of New Milford this week. Listen, they got Butler coming up with a chance to, have it to go up in that division. So I'm going to say Secaucus for that one, Kenny.
All right. Well, are you done with your around?
Yeah, that's my
All
round.
right,
Yep,
awesome,
that's my
awesome.
round.
Nice, good little quick hitters. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, our first guest this evening is Coach Kyle McCourt from Glen Rock and his two captains. So I believe everyone's here and ready to go. So let me bring them on in. I'll start with Coach here. Let me get Coach in, and then we've got Brendan and Matt. So let's get everybody in here. Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Can everybody hear us okay?
Good.
All right, awesome. Well, I want to welcome Glen Rock Coach Kyle McCourt. He's in his second year at the helm, and he's joined by his two captains tonight, Brendan Burkhart and Matt Boysitz. Hello again, guys, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure.
Coach, thank you guys again for coming. Like Jen said, we appreciate it. Congrats on the 3-0 start so far. Coach, I'll start with you. Like Jen was just mentioning, you guys lost a lot of playmakers from a great team ago. You guys, again, we can name them all of the great athletes and players that you guys lost from last year's team. How has this team stepped up to fill those key losses?
I'm just continuing to buy in the process of what they've done since the offseason and beyond. The Glen Rock, whenever student athletes come to Glen Rock football, there's a consistent standard, and having that continuity matters. And it all starts with the current senior leaderships, like our two captains right here. These guys were, they're 3-year starters on both ways. They're the ones that were within those years, and now they know what it takes to lead from that senior class, and now they're taking it. Now they're seniors and they're doing it on their own. So everyone's the rest of the team is buying into both of them, which is great to see.
Coach, that's a perfect segue to my question for Brendan. Brendan, you are running the offense at the quarterback position. So what did you learn maybe from Nick Atme last year? Not just like X's and O's, but even like leadership wise, that's helped you guide this offense this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot of fun to play with Nick Atme. I think he kind of led the role of being like kind of calm in the sense, like on and off the field. He was a good leader, and he kind of just he wasn't very vocal, kind of like me, but he kind of showed that on the field. He was a good role model on the field. So yeah.
And then a follow-up question for you, Brendan, is how nice is it to have a player like Matt there with you on offense? Like Coach was saying, you guys have played together, on Glen Rock varsity or the Glen Rock program for several years, but maybe even through youth football possibly. So how nice is it to work together with Matt there on offense?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, me and Matt have been playing since probably like second grade, so we definitely have good chemistry, and it's always makes it so much easier where I could just kind of hand it off to Matt and like expect a positive gain every time. It makes it much easier.
That's awesome. I love when they've played together since.
That's
I think
true,
that's
yeah.
so awesome.
Guys, real quick, Jen, our good friend Clayton saying hello, and one of our sponsors from Lion Coffee, and you can explain to Coach what's going to happen with coffee. But our good friend Patrick Wiltsey is saying aloha, coaches and players. He's actually saying hello from Hawaii. So, Jen, if you want to just let Coach know what he's in for.
Coach, are you a coffee drinker?
Absolutely.
All right, well, you're going to have some coffee coming your way, so I'll reach out to you afterwards and get your coffee order.
Yeah,
my wife is cheering in the background right now.
All right, our great sponsor.
You're helping us out a lot, especially with our little toddler running around.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
All our coaches, our Patrick is just so generous,
yeah.
and he gets coffee straight from this coffee store in Hawaii. So Jen will get the address and we'll get it to you. I'm gonna go to Matt. last year, again, we watched a lot of games, anything that was streaming and stuff, but we went to your playoff game versus St. Mary's, and we knew, like we said, you guys had so much talent on the team and athletes all over the place. But I think when Jen and I left that game, I said to Jen, like, oh my God, like I had no idea, like Glen Rock is this physical, like you guys were just so physical in that game. And then you guys were physical in the championship game with Butler and obviously throughout the season, but especially in that St. Mary's game that we went to. So my question to you is physicality something that you guys want to be known for at Glen Rock?
Yeah, for sure. I always try and be physical as possible because, it sets the tone for the opponent and, it just shows, you're not going away and you're just going to have to deal with us all night long.
Coach, I'm going to come back to you. You guys have a tough Pompton Lakes opponent coming up this week. What are some keys to success for you guys to get to 4-0 after this week's game?
Well, we're taking it week by week. We're just trying to focus on the opponent ahead. It's good to have overall records, but we're just trying to make sure that we're focusing on the specific opponent within that week without any distractions. And as of the players are all laser focused. So Pompton Lakes is a very good team. They have a great football tradition. It's always a battle between Glen Rock and Pompton. They're well coached. They play hard. It should be an exciting game ready to go.
Brendan, I'm going to come to you. Like Jen mentioned with Matt, you and Matt in the backfield and stuff, but we obviously know you guys can run it, but you guys can throw it too. You're like a real dual threat quarterback. So how good can this offense be?
It's as good as we want it. If we focus and make our reads correctly, that's the point of our offense, is to kind of just have as many options as we want and just read it right on the field. So, it's right there in front of us, but, if we put the work in every week, we could be really, really good.
And Matt, I'm going to come to you and we're going to talk a little bit about the defense. What do you think your defense needs to do to be successful?
I think it just starts with winning first and second down, kind of forcing third and long situations and just getting off the field. Time of possession's pretty important as well as field position. So, if we could win first and second down, force some third and longs, it really sets us up for success.
I'm going to go to both of the boys on this one. Then we'll get Coach. We'll finish with Coach. But I'm going to come right back to Matt. Last year you guys came very close. Like we said, you guys beat a very talented St. Mary's team in the playoffs, and you guys were right there with obviously the NJIC champs Butler in that NJIC championship. So you guys came very close to winning it all. How does that motivate you, or how did that motivate you in the offseason and in now to get the job done this year and try to win the NJIC this year?
Yeah, when I look back at those games, those losses, there's just little things that kind of piss me off personally. So, just going into this year, I don't want to look back and say I wish I could have done something different. So.
And Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, looking back at that season, it was like such a historic season, but we never actually got a win. So that definitely motivates us more this year to kind of, the seniors like step up and make a good role model for our underclassmen, and then just take it week by week and see where it takes us.
Can I ask Coach
a
question real quick?
Sure.
Coach, these are your two captains, Brendan and Matt. Can you talk a little bit about, I just always love seeing the kids who have the experience come on and talk about last season and how it's like motivated from the season. Can you tell us a little bit about, what Brendan and Matt bring to the team from a leadership perspective, and then maybe even some other players on your team that have stepped into those types of roles as well?
Leaders by example. They're calm and collective. I know sometimes that things can be very intense, whether it's during a game and in practice, and they could be the first ones to admit that amongst everyone on the team. But, I think their calm and collectedness does really help us and go a long way as well. The moment is never too big for them, just because they had that experience. But again, I think leading by example is a huge thing as well. And we had a lot of other seniors that are stepping up to that part as well. Specifically, if you want to talk about our names, Leighton Kelly, he's definitely one of them as well, who's a starter last year, and he's setting an example too. So we have a lot of players that are starting both ways for the first time, but they are learning very quickly, and we're adapting very well. But I think with these two gentlemen right here, they're the ones that are setting the tone on and off the field for our program.
I want to go to Matt for one more. We've had all our guests throughout the season. We kind of always, ask them like, what's it like about, what's it like playing at home, playing in front of your, the other students, your friends and family and stuff like that. We had Woodridge on last week. They have a great home field environment. So Matt, can you talk a little bit about like a home game at Glen Rock, what your student section brings, what your, the community brings? Like, what's it like playing in, a big game in Glen Rock?
Oh, it's the best. We have a great student section. It's actually a little too good for the school. They're trying to like calm us down sometimes. So it's amazing. It's great to see all the support, see all your boys out in the stands representing you. It's really the best.
Brendan, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much said everything. It's coming from like a small school like Glen Rock. The soccer team supports the football team. Basketball comes. It's kind of just, we're all friends and we're all together and everyone comes to support us, especially Friday Night Lights. There's nothing like it.
That's awesome. Nice. Before we let you guys go, we want to do a quick little rapid fire. I have a question and then we'll go to each person and you're going to follow up with each one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go Brendan, Matt, and then Coach will end with you. My question for you guys is your favorite athlete of all time. It does not have to be a football player. It can, of course, but just your favorite athlete. Who do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, that's tough. I was always a fan of Derek Jeter when I was younger.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I'll ask you this one. Do the New York Yankees have a legit chance to win the World Series this year?
I mean, if their bullpen could step up, possibly, yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Well, I have a Derek Jeter question. Do you think he should play in the old timers game?
100%.
Yeah, I know, right?
100%.
All right, Matt, your favorite athlete.
Yeah, my favorite is kind of like, I always loved Lawrence Taylor, just like old school giant, just like didn't care about anything, just like played and just didn't even think out there and just was an absolute animal out there. So he's my favorite.
I agree with you. And I think he's the best defensive player of all time. I mean, since I've been watching, I think. But who would you say is the second, since you've been watching football, is it Micah Parsons? Is there anyone that you could even say there's like a little Lawrence Taylor in him?
I mean, Aaron Donald was really good for a long time.
Yep.
And then I don't know, JJ Watt was really good. I mean, there's a bunch of good ones.
Don't forget my guy Von Miller from the Broncos too.
Yeah, he was good.
Okay.
All right, Coach, favorite athlete of all time?
That's a really tough one. I know this might sound cliche, Michael Jordan. That's someone
I was
I grew up
hoping
with.
somebody would say Jordan, though.
Yeah, how do you not?
I know. Yeah.
I grew up with it, but besides that, if you had to not pick Jordan.
So I guess, Coach, I'm going to ask you this. So
I'm sorry. What did you say, Coach?
Michael Strahan.
Okay.
Oh, Strahan. I want to get back to the Jordan one now. So, in your opinion, is there just anyone that if they said to you, I want to sit down and have this debate that LeBron or just your mind, is it just not even debatable? Just Jordan there's no one even comparable to him?
I don't know. It's just different eras. It's different eras of basketball. LeBron is a heck of an athlete, but Michael Jordan definitely changed the landscape of how the game was played, during that time. So I mean, they're both different styles of eras of basketball. So they're definitely going to be top three.
And Coach, we're diehard Knicks fans, so I had to grow up with him beating us every summer. So it's can never get by the guy. It's
Plus
great.
Reggie Miller, don't forget.
Oh, I know. You had to bring that up, Coach.
He still goes to the freezer when we this year with this one. Coach McCourt, Brendan, Matt, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on and talk about your program. Best of luck this week and, of course, the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay, there's the Glen Rock Panthers. And again, another undefeated start.
Yeah.
Big one again, like Coach said, it's a rivalry versus Pompton. There's always, again, every time you look at a Pompton Glen Rock game, it's, it doesn't matter if one team, if they're, both on the field, it's going to be a great game. So, listen, again, hey, the thing nice about these divisions, and we have a couple minutes and we can get into it, is, now starting like the first couple weeks were nice, but now it's when you start getting to, who's going to win this division, what kind of games. And again, like you can't slip up, right? Like it's very easy to go and say, hey, we're going to look ahead to Glen Rock, Rutherford next week. But listen, Glen Rock's got Pompton Lakes, right? Rutherford's got Waldwick. That game might not make it to next week. You know what I'm saying? Like both of those teams have to be focused. And you look at every division's like that, right? Like, but now we started
every week, isn't
every week it started. Hey, it started last week when we had game of the week with Woodridge and St. Mary's, right? But again, like those, and we have Chris Rios coming on in a second. But these games now matter because one loss, can just throw you all off in that division. And again, it's not just like, let's just take Woodridge, for example. Like we're saying, like Woodridge isn't just like, hey, let's congratulate, we're division champs. That's not going to happen. We have a game this week. You still have Bogota down the road. It's the same thing. Now we're looking at, okay, Garfield, Lyndhurst. Yeah, like people are saying, okay, they're both 2-1. But listen, there's a Beckton team that's got a nice little schedule that they might not have a loss coming into, what I'm saying? And it goes for the same thing. Listen, Rutherford and Glen Rock are on a collision course. Is that going to happen? You're looking in the other division. Obviously, Butler's the defending champions. You still got Heights. You got Secaucus, who's Secaucus is undefeated. They're going to get a crack. If they can beat New Milford this week, they're going to get a crack at Butler. So it's very exciting. Like you might say there's quote unquote favorites in each division, but I don't think that's just like an easy, this team is an easy runaway winner. I mean, you have a lot of good teams in these divisions where any week these divisions can go upside down.
Like shaking out a little bit, So every game, it's funny, like every game is important, but there's also some early, like last year, I feel like I always come back to the like Beckton Lyndhurst game that was opening week of the season and the importance that game wound up holding those two teams.
The so funny part is like you just look at a situation like that, right? Like last year it was like week 1, whatever. Now it's like they're playing at the end of the season. How it's just just listen, it's exciting because like you said, there's favorites and stuff like that, but it's not just like, okay, this team is automatically going to win this division. It's not like that. Like all these teams, they can't look ahead, and then you're still going to have, every team is still going to have another big time challenge before they can win that division. And you're going to have the thing is you're going to have really good teams that aren't going to make the NJIC playoffs.
Definitely. I know that's the hard part.
It's what it is. But the nice thing about it is it's not like that's where it's over. Now you go into your state tournament, like
and it can really come down to like a play here. You often put in your keys to the game on our game of the week, like who's going to take when the opportunity arises, who's going to take like that opportunity, or who's going to take care of the ball and turn it over. Like those plays can really change the whole landscape.
So I'm just excited for the rest of like this slate. You know what I'm saying? Like starting again, last week started like the division games. It's so exciting.
Well, let's get up some stat leaders in the week before we bring in our top dog. We'll culminate the stats with our announcement of who our top dog is for the week. But here we have our rushing leaders. And again, thank you to the coaches for sending in their stats. If you don't see yourself up here or you're one of your players up here, please let us know. Make sure we're getting the most up-to-date stats. But what I find impressive on this rushing leader list is 2 Waldwick kids, right? Yep. Which we talked about a little bit at the top of the show there. We've got Dylan Ferrara at 242, Luciano Mayer at 187, and we also talked about Patrick Randolph's performance this week, 191 yards rushing, and 4 touchdowns on top of that. Our receiving leaders, for anything you wanted to add before I move on to those?
No, I mean, leaders? Listen, we could probably put a bunch of other. I know
there was
Cano had a great, a great game last week. Bunch of people. Listen, Rios had a great game rushing the ball, so it's, we just put the 3 up there, but there's tons of them that had big time games.
And same thing with our receiving yards, right? We have for the second week in a row, Chance Iacovino from Woodridge at the top there with 111 yards. CJ Bentley from Butler 104 yards receiving, and Brandon Vega with 103 yards. are some defensive stats we wanted to highlight here. Noah Cruz from Garfield with 13 tackles. We had Jaden with an I, Gonzalez from Pagoda, and Matthew Jarvis from Lyndhurst with 11 tackles each, and a slew of players with 10 tackles. Jaden with a Y, Gonzalez from Pagoda, Sebastian Gill from Hawthorne, Chris Perry from Lyndhurst, Julian Castanera from North Arlington. And they had 2 players that had 2 interceptions for the week as well. Jaden Gonzalez again, Jaden with the Y, also with his 10 tackles, and also Matthew Jarvis on top of his 11 tackles with 2 interceptions. We wanted to highlight our top quarterbacks with their passing yards. Jaden with the Y, Gonzalez again, all over the boards. We love to say, right? 246 yards passing. Chris Rios from Woodridge with 222 passing yards. And Butler's David Smith with 161 yards passing. That is our stat leaders for the week.
Before we bring
our top dog
in, tonight I had a rock, just so you know. He said Joe saying it's Chris Penny, not Perry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, my bad. I could have not read my writing
I'm rocking
correctly.
an Irvington State Flag Football Championship. I haven't received any gear yet.
Oh my God,
we gotta get when Rios comes in. We gotta get like some. I want like a Woodridge hoodie or something.
Dare put that on one
no, but for Coach Carbone, not for Rios. Carbone. I would rock a nice Glen Rock. Where's Coach Ruther? Where's Coach Dunn? I always get yelled at. I'm always wearing St. Mary's gear. Give me some other stuff to wear. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, our next segment is our top dog of the week, Bo's Top Dog, sponsored by Puppies and Tattoos Dog Grooming. Puppies and Tattoos Dog Grooming is where Bo gets groomed. So I can speak firsthand that they are a dog groomer for all breeds. They have locations in North Arlington, Montclair, and Fairlawn. They even have a mobile grooming service. Not only do they make Bo look fantastic, they just take such good care of him while he is there. You can see by his smiling face in that picture.
And I will say this, he needs an appointment soon.
I actually did just text Charlie tonight.
Yeah, he needs an appointment soon.
He's looking a little bit
so
like
what does the top dog get?
So our top dog will receive a $10 gift certificate off of a dog grooming service from any of the Puppies and Tattoos locations. Okay. And our top dog of the week this week is from Woodridge, Chris Rios, with some impressive stats on the week, right? 127 yards rushing, 220 passing yards for a total of 349 offensive yard output, a total of 4 touchdowns. He rushed for 3, threw for 1. Just another impressive performance over an impressive opponent as well.
In a big game. In our game of the week, in a game that has big time playoff implications. Mm-hmm. Listen, he stepped up in a big game. So congratulations to Chris.
And we have Chris, our top dog of the week, here with us tonight. So I'm going to bring him in and we will chat with him a little bit.
And Tom Negro, hey, there's our first comment. You guys picking Marys. Come on, Rios is on fire.
And he's right.
Well, you know what?
That's the perfect introduction. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm just going to put Chris right on the spot. I said this. I'm wearing an Irvington. I always get yelled at. I got to wear St. Mary's gear. You know what? Get on Coach Carbone. Don't worry about her.
Oh my God.
Give me a nice medium Woodridge tee, and I'll rock it on the show.
I will. I'll tell Coach
All right,
Carbone
let's
tomorrow.
go.
Well, that's very nice of you, Chris. Don't feel pressured by Kurt on that. Oh my goodness. You're here to be our guest. Congratulations. I mean, your stats speak for themselves, Chris. You did an outstanding job. We watched the game. Congratulations on the big win and, of course, on your solid performance. So thank you for coming on with us.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. And I'm not sure if you did watch the show. Do you remember what my first key to St. Mary's the game was last week?
I believe it was, quote unquote, let Rios do his thing.
No. Stop Rios on the ground.
Oh, for St. Mary's.
For St. Mary's. Right. That did not happen. So that was key one, did not happen. So the key did work. But Chris, congratulations. You did an awesome job. We watched that game on Friday night. Big time atmosphere. Listen, hey, like they say, the big time players make big plays in big games, and you definitely did it. You guys have a great team. When we watching you guys more, I'll just say this, you guys have tons of talent on that team. We know we had the people coming back, but listen, you guys can run. You're even defense. I forgot oh my God, I'll get back to when we make the pick. Mabel. I mean, that kid's all over the field on defense. I mean, we're watching them. I'm like they're saying announcer, Mabel on tackle. I was like, this kid's, you guys are legit, and you guys are a very good team. And we'll start getting to some of the tough questions, but My first one is everybody knows you're a major threat on the ground. You've been like that your whole career. But this year, like you're also throwing it with tons of success. What's the difference this year? While you guys are able not just to do it on the ground, but through the air also.
We do have a different offensive coordinator, and he's been calling great plays every game. He's just helping us out a lot, and I have a lot of trust in all my wide receivers. I have Owen Dodds, Nick Scalaire, Chance, Melvin Zabaleta. They're all great athletes, so it's very easy to pass the ball when you know your wide receiver is going to come down with it and always make a nice catch.
Tom saying Rio says, my man, good kid. And there's Coach Carbone, special kid, both on and off the field. He is a true leader and captain of our team. We are super excited to have him leading our squad. That's a great compliment
nice.
from
Thanks,
the coach.
That's such a nice
Thank you, Coach.
Right. Chris, you guys, big win last week over St. Mary's at home, like we discussed. Sometimes there is that fear of like a little letdown after a bit, right? Heading into your next game. So how are you guys ensuring that like that letdown going into Weehawken doesn't happen? Or how are you staying up for Weehawken?
We're taking it game by game. We know how good of a team we are. We know that we can produce wins, and we're just going to keep playing as hard as we can and keep coming out with wins.
I'm going to go off script on one just because we had, I hope you watched the pod last week when we had your teammates on and we had two of your, the student section. It was awesome. I love how we had the flag for the 9/11 week, but I didn't get a chance to hear from you. What is it like to play in front of that crowd, your teammates, that student section, the game in Woodridge? What is it like?
It's great. It's all kids I've grown up with. Everyone I know. It's a small town, so I know everyone, and I just want to be able to play for them and put on a good performance for them, so they have a fun time and everyone has a fun time.
So again, like you said, you guys have a lot more to play for this year. Division NJIC, trying to get an NJIC championship, guys get to the playoffs and stuff like that. But do you have any aspirations of playing on the next level at all?
I've thought about it. It's always been a thought in my head. I don't know for sure what I really want to do, but it's always been a thought, and I'm gonna keep seeing how the season goes.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a great athlete. You do it. Listen, running it, throwing it. Like Coach said, you're a great leader. Just watching how excited you are, like making plays, like with you making plays, when your teammates made plays, like you just show the leadership. And that's why those kids play for you. And listen, you guys are a very talented team. I mean, just watching, like Jen was mentioning before, the weapons you guys have on that offense. You guys listen, you play great defense too, but on offense, it's so impressive to see how many weapons you guys got.
Chris, congratulations again for being Bo's top dog of the week. We really appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight.
We will get him the
Yes. I will. I'll get it to Coach Carbone to get to you. So we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Good night. All right, and that's our top dogs brought to you by Puppies and Tattoos.
And again, getting our guest picker, asking he's about to join. But again, you could just see and how Coach Carbone just mentioned about the leadership and the excitement you could see. Oh, Coach Carbone, by the way, we will get you some gear if you keep picking against us. Great bulletin. I mean, that's what we're doing, Coach.
I love it.
I don't know how many more times that's going to happen. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Too funny.
You know what? That's great. This is the only thing. I don't want. Well, I don't. You picked against. Did you pick St. Mary's?
I did.
Okay. I don't want to get booed in Woodridge. I like Woodridge.
Well,
we started in Woodridge.
We say this all the time.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's
hard. It's very hard, and especially when we start doing this, and we really get to know the coaches. And
yeah,
we like
we gotta make
personally,
picks.
but we do have to make picks. I know it's so hard. We don't want to insult anyone. Of course, we wish everybody could win.
Yeah, but thank you for that, Coach. I would happily wear a Woodridge shirt on air.
All right, so we are going to move into our Pick'em segment, which is sponsored by Villa Italia Pizzeria and Restaurant in Lyndhurst. And before we get into picking our week 3 games, let's just take a look at the standings through. It is neck and neck right here. Yeah. So how
did Kenny catch up? He was about 10 games back.
He was never. No, you are mistaken. It's always been close.
No.
I've got them right here. So we've always been separated by 1 or 2 games. So sometimes Kenny's underdog picks get him right back into the mix of things. But wait a minute. I'm just looking for my stats really quickly here. Who's our guest picker last week, Kurt?
Doug Palsy and his
and
son.
Doug and Dean Palsy.
Yeah.
And I think they now have the record for best pick'em week. They went 11-1.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I meant to text them. I don't
Well,
even-
our guest picker today
Yeah.
is on the hot
yeah,
seat,
exactly.
right?
He's got a lot to live up to here. A lot to live up to. So let's actually.
Let me get a couple comments real
Yep.
quick from Coach again. We like you. Wait, was it? We like you. We are only kidding. We love the show. Keep it going. Awesome stuff. Listen, I don't know if I'm ever gonna pick against Woodridge again. We'll see. And Tom's saying, in your defense, that was a tough game to pick, but you have to
Thank
be
you.
believers
Thank
now.
you.
Oh, I've always been a believer.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, of course.
You were too.
Of
You were
course.
too.
Yeah, of course. I'm just looking for make sure I've got everything here that we're ready for our pick segment. All right. Well, our guest picker is with us, so let me bring him in and introduce him as well. All right. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me on.
Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us. We are joined by Coach John Lasella, former Lyndhurst football assistant, but current head volleyball coach at West Essex. And I'm going to throw this out there, one of my former students.
That's right.
Why would you
Fairfield.
do that on air? You date yourself on
I
the
know.
air.
Well,
That's
I don't think it
okay.
takes much to date me. So
We still look young, so that's okay, Coach. That's okay.
Coach,
I'm sorry, real quick. By the
Coach,
way,
thank you so much for joining us.
I don't know if you heard the pressure, but last week's guest picker, 11-1.
I heard. I did my research, so I'm ready to beat
Okay.
it.
Well, there's no excuse. I mean, you know the NJIC.
That's
it's not
right.
like who's North Arlington, who's you
Right.
should know who everybody is.
Yeah, I got a good feel for the week.
All right, let's go.
All right, let me pull up the game slate here. Do we want to get it like this? How do we like that? Good?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. Coach, as our guest picker, you are the first pick. So who do you have in Becton versus Powell Park?
Sure. So I have Becton here. I see them with the going for the division title with Lyndhurst 2 weeks from now. Like it was last year. Unfortunately, it was week 1 for us. I think probably would have benefited it from being later in the year. So I'm happy they kind of changed that scheduling around this year, which will be a good matchup in 2 weeks. Becton Lyndhurst for the Colonial title.
All right, so Kenny is picking Becton as well. He's predicting a score of 28-8. I'm going Becton as well. I think they get they started 0-2, but I think they get even at 2-2 this week.
Powell Park actually played Garfield pretty well. That game was pretty close. And again, we know Garfield is improved, and they got a big one with Lyndhurst this week. But Becton, like Coach was saying, Becton's got a nice little schedule now to be able to get a couple wins in a row, and that sets up their Garfield Lyndhurst matchups for the division. I'm going to go Becton too.
All right, our next game is Bogota at St. Mary's. Coach, who do you have?
So I have Bogota in this one. So I coached the freshmen the past 2 years in Lyndhurst. And 2 years ago, Bogota gave us a really tough game. They were very skilled, at their skill positions. And it was a really tough game for us. And, those kids are now juniors, and you could kind of see that they're off to a fast start. So I like them to keep it rolling and go 4-0.
All right, Coach really did do his homework.
He
on
did.
This. That's some good inside info right
yeah.
there. Kenny is picking St. Mary's by a score of 23-14. Listen, I think this is going to be a really good game. I do. Just like you said, they're off to a hot start. I think a lot of people maybe have underestimated them. They've done a great job so far this season. And, this might be the time to get St. Mary's. But I just feel like St. Mary's has their back up against the wall home. I'm not sure of the condition of Huertes, but, if he's in, I think that changes things. If he's out, I should probably go Bogota, but I'm going to go St. Mary's also.
Yeah, Bogota's only given up 6 points all year in 3 wins. And again, I think they won 2 or 3 at the end of last year. So they're really on like a 5 or 6 game win streak. You got the Gonzalez boys there. Obviously, they do everything offensive, defensively. Jason Alvarado and St. Mary's. I mean, listen, they had 3 tough games where, within 5 minutes, you had a chance to win all 3 of those games. And they didn't finish. Hey, that's on them. But listen, they're a talented team. Like you said, what's the status of Fortes? I think that's a big key. I think they get some new players coming in this week. And I just think the desperation for them, they have to win this game. They're at home. I'm going to take in a close game, St. Mary's.
All right. Our next one, Coach Lasella, is Butler at Saddlebrook.
Yep. So I have Butler in this one. Cream of the crop in the NJIC, defending champs. I think they continue to roll and win this division again and head into the NJIC playoff.
All right, Kenny's picking Butler as well by a score of 27-7. I have Butler too. Teams have been keeping it, I'm going to say, like, close with them in the first half, but I feel like Butler's been pulling away in the second half and showing that, true Butler that we know. So I'm going Butler as well.
Yeah, Saddlebrook was a lot better last week, right? Played a lot better effort. They lost 22-13 to very improved Sea Caucus. And just like you said, though, Jen, Butler has to be sharper, and they got to get sharper. I mean, the next coming weeks, they got Sea Caucus and then Heights. You play like they played the last couple games, and now, like John's saying, yeah, they're the cream of the crop. They're the favorite in that division, but you're going to have teams lining up where you don't execute, you play sloppy, you're going to get picked off. So I think, again, Coach Luciani, he'll get them on board. Too much David Smith, Yadi Perez, CJ Bentley. I'm going to go with you guys and go Butler on that.
All right, our next game is Cresskill at North Arlington.
So initially when I saw this matchup, I had written down Cresskill, and then I got home from back to school night about 30, 40 minutes ago, did a little more research, and I actually changed it to North Arlington. I think they get their first win of the season here. Just doing a little scoreboard watching. They've played tough games to start, and I think they're kind of trending in the right direction. So I kind of like them in an upset win here.
Oh, you know what? Kenny is with you. He's calling this his upset of the week by a score of 20-17. I'm going Cresskill. They had a big win over Pumpton last week. I'm picking Cresskill here.
Listen, John's right. Kenny, you guys are all close because NA, they're getting closer every week. And one of these weeks, they're going to pick somebody off. They play hard. Coach is doing a great job over there. They got a great quarterback there. But I don't know. I'm still going to go Cresco. I think Justin, Sal, both sides of the ball. Again, I like their senior experience, and I think Cresco gets win number 2. This is going to be a close game, and I wouldn't be shocked if North Arlington won this game, but I'm going to go Cresco too.
All right, our next game on the docket is Lodi at Elmwood Park.
So I have Lodi getting their first win of the season here. I know, Lyndhurst played them last week, and, score was a little lopsided. They were able to, I believe, force 3 or 4 turnovers. So I could see, a late turnover by the Lodi defense kind of deciding this one. So I'm going to go with Lodi.
All right. Kenny's picking Elmwood Park by a score of 21-14. I'm picking Elmwood Park at home in this one to get their first win.
This is a big time rivalry, right? Quite close to each other. These kids know each other. So both of these teams are going to be up. It's going to be a great environment in Elmwood Park. I'm going to go with Elmwood Park Coach Mulligan to get his first win.
All right, next one is Sea Caucus at New Milford.
So I'm taking Sea Caucus here. I was watching the New Milford Lyndhurst game from home a couple weeks ago. The score was pretty close. I thought kind of Lyndhurst dominated that game. They had a couple turnovers. I like where Sea Caucus is headed with Coach Curry there now. I think, he's kind of running the things over there, and he's kind of put his stamp on the program. So I think they stay undefeated and get the win here.
Yeah, me and Kenny both agree with you there, Coach. Kenny has Sea Caucus by a score of 24-21, and I'm picking Sea Caucus. I think they're kind of like just how you kind of described Bogota kind of rolling. I feel like Sea Caucus kind of doing that as well. So I'm going with Sea Caucus.
This is definitely going to be a physical game because, like John was saying, Coach was saying, with the physicality in Lyndhurst, New Milford game, they got the Johnson kids over there. They're going to be running the ball. And we said, I remember Coach Curry and Coach Voorhees last week saying last week was the biggest game in Sea Caucus in a long time. Well, if they can get through this game and they get to 3-0, how big is next week going to be when Butler goes to Sea Caucus? Maybe both undefeated. How big is that place going to be in Sea Caucus? So, listen, it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to go with Sea Caucus.
All right, our next
one. Real
quick,
Joe is saying upset of the week. 29-28. He's going New Milford, goes for 2 in overtime. Too much Jake Johnson for Sea Caucus.
All right. I love the specifics. All right, John, how about Park Ridge, Wallington?
So I have Park Ridge winning this one. I like their rushing attack with the kid Randolph. I think, he has a big game, and they get another win on the year.
Kenny's picking Park Ridge by a score of 34-13. Coach, I'm with you. I wrote the exact same thing. I feel like Patrick Randolph had that breakout game last week that we were waiting for. I think he's back. I know he's coming off that injury from last year. I'm going Park Ridge as well.
I know this is a high school show, but we got to watch this later. This is our good friend John Beelan. He sent me a video, and all it does, it says, look at your boy chasing down the kid. So it's probably his son in junior football saving some kind of touchdown. He probably wants it on the we'll put him on the high school show if we want. Oh, I'm sorry. So this is Park Ridge. You know, Park Ridge with a great performance after losing a tough game to Garfield 2 weeks ago, right? You know, Wallington's been tough all season. I think this game's going to be close, but I agree with Coach over there. He said Randolph. I think Patrick Randolph is going to be the difference in this game. I'll give you Park Ridge.
All right. Our next one is Woodridge at Weehawken.
So when I first started coaching, a bunch of years ago, I actually coached a couple times against Coach Carbone. I was coaching basketball at Morris Tech, and he was the head basketball coach at Sussex Tech. Now he's in the conference. He's doing a great job. Kind of reminds me of, when Catrona took over a couple years ago, they had instant success. So I like Woodridge to, keep the undefeated season going and get the win here.
That's Woodridge, according to Kenny, is going to escape a scare in this one. He's picking Woodridge, though, by a score of 22-20. I agree. I think they remain undefeated behind Chris Rios leading the way on that one.
We love Coach Carbone now. He's going to send some medium Woodridge gear, so I'm ready for him. Weehawken, like we said, Jen, disappointing last week, and now they get Woodridge, right? So is it a possible letdown? No way. Coach Carbone's not going to allow it. Rios, like you said, Iacovino, Miles Simmons, and the kid, again, very impressive, was Nicholas Mabel on this. You got to watch this kid on defense. I mean, he's all over the field, makes play after play. I'm going to go Woodridge. How do we go against them from now forward? I don't know.
All right. Our next one is
real quick. We got a YouTube comment. Got to watch out for the Miles Simmons and Aiden Salento rushing attack. Yep, we had that on a little bit on there, but no, seriously, we said the amount of offensive weapons for Woodridge, it's very impressive.
All right, Coach, how about Pumpkin Lakes at Glen Rock?
So good game here. I like Glen Rock, setting up kind of a, I know there's some games to go, but a matchup with Rutherford to kind of see who wins this division coming up. So I think Glen Rock takes this one and is looking forward to Rutherford to kind of see who gets that NJIC playoff berth.
All right. Kenny's picking Glen Rock by a score of 33-20, and he's calling Glen Rock impressive. I feel like that Glen Rock, I kind of mentioned this when we had them on as guests, that not that they should be this way, but I feel like they're flying under the radar a little bit because everybody was kind of expecting them to maybe not do what they're doing, right? And to their credit, they're like we said at the top of the show, they're just reloaded. I'm picking Glen Rock to remain undefeated.
Jen, Pompton is always dangerous, as Coach said. It's always dangerous too when you have a big time rivalry like Glen Rock. Pompton is such a history over there. I think Pompton needs balance, right? Their quarterback Fabian, threw it a little around last week. We know they have a good rushing attack, but they're going to have to throw it against Glen Rock. And just like Coach said before, like Glen Rock can't look ahead though, right? Because listen, it's very simple to say, hey, next week Glen Rock, Rutherford. Both of those teams can't look ahead. We'll get that in the next pick, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just think a little too much offense. Another kid we didn't mention before, Tyler Brazil, our wide receiver for them, one of their deep threats for, again, they have a great running attack, Glen Rock, but they could also throw it around, and he's one of their go-to receivers.
All right. Coach, our next matchup is Rutherford at Waldwick.
So if you guys remember last year, this was a week 1 matchup, and I think Waldwick kind of surprised a lot of people. I remember refreshing the scoreboard and, was kind of surprised that Waldwick had won that one. So I think Rutherford has revenge on their mind coming into this game. And like I said, I think, they win this one and set up that matchup with Glen Rock for the division title.
Kenny's picking Rutherford by a score of 28-14. He said Rutherford keeps rolling. John, you took Kurt's words right out of his mouth with the last year, marked on the calendar, right?
Yep.
That made Kurt I feel like he was, frothing at the mouth every time Waldwick played. He couldn't wait to watch them,
True.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think I have Rutherford in this one too.
You said what a big you had on the rushing leaders before about Waldwick, the kid
Mhm.
Dylan Ferreira and Luciano Mayer, both of those kids had over 300 something yards rushing in a big win. But just like Coach said and you said last year, September 6, 2024 was Waldwick 32, Rutherford 20. And it wasn't even that close. Rutherford scored like 2 touchdowns late. They were blowing them out. But you know what? It's payback time. I think just like you said, it's Coach Dunn and those guys. Listen, they might be right now one of the most impressive teams in the NJIC. They had the week off, so really 2 weeks to prepare for this. Not even 2 weeks, a year to prepare for this game. I think they're going to show that they're the best team in this league, and I think they take it out payback.
All right,
Go
our next
Rutherford.
game is Hasbrook Heights at Hawthorne.
So I kind of circled this one when you guys first sent me the list as my game of the week. I was, going back at a couple of their scores, so far this year. And I just give the slight edge to Heights here in this one. I think it's going to be a great game. And like I said, I kind of have it circled as the game of the week. And I think Heights, just takes it maybe in the fourth quarter, late touchdown to seal it.
All right, Kenny's picking Hawthorne at home on this one by a score of 20-17. I agree with you, Coach. I think Heights has shown a lot since that close opening day loss at home in the Aviator Classic. And we talked about how sometimes those losses can fuel you for the rest of the season. And I feel like they've taken that. I think it's so important that they got those 2 wins right after that, because it's just they're learning from that and rolling into them into wins, learning from them, showing the lessons learned. I'm going Heights.
Hawthorne. Guys, the Hawthorne played Butler very well last week. We were looking at that game. It was 14-14. Eventually, Butler wins 28-14. But anytime you have to play Butler and you're right there with them, listen, again, we had Coach on, very experienced team, a lot of seniors on there, a physical team. I think it's going to be a physical game. But I really like this Heights team, right? We all know about Napolitano, Brady Shine, Nipatella. But you know what? Now you got to add the 2 sophomores, right? Haynes and Colinari. This team is very dangerous, right? I mean, you talk about just the athletes they have on offense, and we always talk about their defense, how impressive we were in that Wallkill Valley loss, in the St. Mary's game. Coach Bertolo does a great job there. Listen, I'm going to go Heights, and I'm telling you, this team is very, very dangerous.
All right, and our next one is our game of the week, which is Garfield at Lyndhurst. So Kurt and I won't pick this one. We're going to save it for our live broadcast tomorrow, where we actually really break down the game. But Coach, who do you have in this matchup? Do I have to ask?
Obviously, I got to go with Lyndhurst. It's going to be a special night there. It's the 100th anniversary of the football program, and this is kind of the game where they're celebrating it. So they're going to, the place is going to be packed. It's a great environment for high school football. I do kind of like where Garfield is heading, though. Maybe I think Lyndhurst wins by multiple scores, but I think Garfield will put up a good fight. Their new offensive coordinator was actually one of my high school coaches at West Essex, Greg Vaccaro. He's a teacher in Garfield and has kind of bounced around. He was the receivers coach at St. Peter's Prep a couple years ago. And he's there now. So, I know that he's a great coach, X's and O's wise, and, they're trending in the right direction, but they're not, I don't think they're going to be up to speed with this Lyndhurst team, especially on a special night they have this Friday.
All right. Kenny is picking Garfield by a score of 20-19. He says Garfield in a thriller. So there we have our week 3 picks. Coach, it was so nice to have you. Thank you for
having me. It was great.
Not just your picks, but your expertise.
Oh, you did it
tonight.
Awesome breaking it down.
Very nice. So
and Coach Farrell did say you will be a sensational picker.
He did.
And you were.
Coach, is it's volleyball season now?
Yes. So I'm a West Essex graduate, and the head volleyball job opened up, and I went back to my alma mater. So if you guys ever are looking for some volleyball match, let me know. We got a good squad this year. We're 4-2 to start. Nice. So we would love to have you guys come to a game, and it'd be great.
Absolutely.
We will definitely hook that up with you for sure. Coach, congratulations on being appointed that, and best of luck to you. And again, thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
No,
Have a good
awesome.
night. Good
Have
to
a good
see
night.
you.
Thanks. You too.
All right, so there we have our week 3 picks.
Listen, he did a great job breaking it down. Definitely did his homework. Obviously knowledgeable, coached in the league, so he knows his stuff. But listen, Jen, again, we have a couple great. Like I said, we can just look and say, but go to St. Mary's, Rutherford, Waldwick, right, Pompton, Glenrock, and listen, we got the Garfield Glenrock. I'm sorry, the Garfield Lyndhurst game, and just like Coach was saying that, listen, being from Garfield. Bonus pick, Kurt, would love your thoughts. Oh, real quick, Jen, I know we talked about Coach Breslin. 1 verse 2, we just spoke with him tonight. Just a quick thought. Ramapo, Old Japan.
Never go against the Poe.
Never go. What did
Because
Casey?
I did do it a few
What
times.
did Anthony Mataloni tell me the one time?
I was trying to remember how
Never
I put
go
it.
against what?
I don't remember.
Family.
Okay.
I'm going Ramapo
Yeah,
too.
Ramapo.
Listen, it's gonna be a great game. You got 2 of the best coaching staffs in the state, 2 of the best athletes. Just it's gonna be a great atmosphere. At Old Japan, so is that an advantage? I'm still gonna go Ramapo. But Jen, Garfield Lyndhurst tomorrow. We break it down. We're gonna have coaches on from both teams, players on from both teams. I'm excited. This is gonna be this is gonna be a good one.
Yep. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for commenting, and we will see you tomorrow and our regular show again next week.